Hey Hawk, so we're going to try to do some guided notes. So you will see in your assignment for today that you have this Google document. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to File and then down to Make a Copy, and that's going to prompt you to rename it. Please don't leave it copy of end behavior. Make it your name end behavior, first name, first initial, something to make it your own that's school appropriate. And then you'll notice that there are blanks in the notes for you to fill out. The only reason for those blanks is basically I want to make sure that you guys are listening to the videos before you come to class. That's really important because that will mean that everyone will be on the same page and we can have more class time to answer your questions and less class time of me just lecturing. So you'll see the first part of this document is just guided notes with a couple of blanks. And then when you get down here to now try, these are what you're going to do on your own. So if you're getting frustrated ever typing into the doc, remember that you are free to use regular paper and pencil and upload the picture of your work. But I do want you to try your best on all 5 of these you try problems. All right, so let's talk about end behavior of graphs. So the end behavior is looking at the end of the graph. So that means we're going to look at the arrows. Most graphs have them, sometimes they're left out, but you want to make sure wherever your line goes, you're just focused on the end. You can ignore the middle of the graph and just focus on the ends. This is actually a polynomial function that we'll study later on this year. It is really, really important that whenever you see a graph, just like when you saw these words, you want to read graphs from left to right. So move from the left side to the right side. End behavior is usually written in function notation, so don't be alarmed if you see that f of x instead of the normal y equals that you guys are so used to. So we're going to start by making a key for how we read end behavior. Let's remember that the x-axis, this horizontal one, which was actually the number line you learned when you first started learning numbers, is the independent variable. So that means it's the boss. It controls our function, and it runs from left to right. If you see x arrow negative infinity, all that is saying x approaches negative infinity. In other words, as the x goes towards negative infinity, that's the left side of the graph. So they're just saying the left side of the graph. X arrow positive infinity is saying x approaches positive infinity. This is the right side of the graph. So if you see this x approaches positive infinity, it's saying the right side of the graph. Similarly, when you see the y-axis or the f of x axis, this represents the dependent variable. So it is the one that's controlled or dependent on the x-axis or the independent variable. Remember, in function notation, this is f of x. F of x arrow negative infinity is read f of x approaches negative infinity. So as f of x, the vertical line, goes down. If you see f of x arrow negative infinity, it just means it's going down. The graph is moving down. F of x arrow positive infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity. Well, let's look. F of x goes towards positive infinity. Where am I going, y'all? I'm going up. That's all that means. So the symbols make it seem a little confusing. That's why sometimes they say math is like a foreign language, or they say mathematicians are lazy people because we like symbols. We don't like writing f of x approaches negative infinity. I'd rather write f of x arrow negative little swivel, right? All right, so let's try some together. As x of x approaches negative infinity. In other words, the left, because here's x, negative infinity is over here. They're saying, what is the left of my graph doing? And I'm talking about end behavior. So what is the left end doing? Well, it's going up. Up is said f of x approaches positive infinity. All right, so as I go to the left, my end is pointing up. That's all that line says. Then it says, as I go to the right, x approaches positive infinity. I'm going to the right. What's my end doing? It's still going up, so f of x is still going towards positive infinity. Let's look at 1B, and I'm not sure why this one got shifted. I'll have to make sure they're not so shifted on yours. But 1B, same thing. It's always going to start the same way because we should always read graphs from left to right. So as x approaches negative infinity, what's the left arrow doing? It's going to positive infinity. Left is going up. As x goes to positive infinity, the right side of my graph is going down. All right, so when you try yours, same idea. I know my voice is probably so annoying to some of you, especially when it's like just I'm exhausted right now, guys. But as x approaches negative infinity, all I'm asking you is look to the left of your graph and tell me what the end is doing. Is this end going up? If it's going up, then you say f of x is going to positive infinity. Or is it going down? Is this end going down? Then you're going to tell me negative infinity here. And then you're going to go to the right side as x approaches positive infinity. Go to the right. What's the end doing? So what's the function doing? Is it going up? If it's going up, positive infinity, or is it going down? Down, negative infinity. Okay, you're going to try this one, this one, this one. Down here, you're going to write a story that matches the graph. Notice there are 4 different sections, which means your story should have 4 different things that could represent changes that you see on this graph. Then you are going to write an equation for each of these sections, or do your best. You should be able to write linear equations. All of these are linear since I see straight lines. And then you're going to try to match the domain for each section. Actually, one of them is called a constant, which we can debate later. All right, good luck. Please do your best, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye.